Hello. In a kind of different scenery today. Just thought, you know, it's good to switch it up. It's good to not be predictable. So, hi. How's everyone doing? I feel like I've not sat down and done like sit down video in a while. I don't know. I feel a bit rusty, but I wanted to come on and talk about social anxiety. Anyway, my social anxiety has been a little bit heightened at the minute, I would say, kind of slash just general anxiety for like a multitude of reasons, but it's like made me want to come on and just like talk about my kind of experience of social anxiety and like how I cope with it and how I have coped with it in the past. I'm going to do the definition of social anxiety. Symptoms of social anxiety include worrying about speaking to people, dreading social events, avoiding eye contact, and low self-esteem. It's an overwhelming fear of social situations like meeting or speaking to people. Or it's called social phobia. I didn't know that. Yeah, so it's like a sub-branch of just like anxiety. And like I would say that I've had it for like so long. Yeah, since I was a kid probably. Like I've just always like struggled, but also like not really realizing that it was social anxiety. I often get told, or like people are often surprised when I'm like, oh yeah, my bad social anxiety, and they're like, what? Like, because I think my anxiety, especially socially, manifests through me just talking the ear off people, or like being kind of overly energized, overly like bubbly, because I'm so anxious inside. So it doesn't come across like I'm socially anxious, but like I get so socially anxious. It's so funny. Social anxiety is so funny because it's just anxiety in general a lot of the time. It's so illogical, and for me it is the most mundane of situations that I really struggle with. So like today is what made me think of it, is that I went to meet my friend Lizzie at a coffee shop near her flat that I've not been to before, and I got there first, and the walk down I was really anxious because I find it really anxiety inducing going into a new coffee shop, because I'm like, what's the etiquette? Do I sit down? Do I go up to the counter first? Are people going to look at me when I go in? Is it going to be small? What if I go in and there's no seat? Like, I have like a, you know, a preset list of anxieties about that. And even just going up to order a coffee makes me really anxious. And as well, when I'm in the pub, going up to the bar, that makes me really anxious. Like, pubs just in general make me quite anxious, because it's the, like, I would say my social anxiety is literally focused on other people are judging me and they're gonna think I'm stupid. Which is, you know, I've spoke about this multiple times, like, especially in situations like that where it's like strangers, you are never going to see these people again, and you will have no way of ever knowing what they're truly thinking of you. So it's a waste of effort, like caring, and obviously it's so much easier said than done. But a lot of my anxiety is around that, and I've also been having particularly bad anxiety at the gym at the minute. I've like recently moved gyms because I moved flats, so I like changed my gym, and I've been to this gym like over the years, so it wasn't like completely new, but I'm now going there every day, and it's like a whole new group of people. It's a bigger gym, there's a different kind of demographic, like it's a change, and like I miss the comfort of my old gym where it was much smaller. It was kind of just like a hotel vibe gym, where I knew everyone, I knew the PTs, like I knew most people that trained there. I felt like I could just kind of like do my own thing and no one was really that bothered. And maybe it's really, really egocentric of me, and that's the other thing about social anxiety. It's so like, the world does not revolve around you. Like, literally stop it. It's that like, yeah, egocentricity that you're like, oh my god, everyone's looking at me. But in this new gym, I've just really been struggling with like like people looking at me and judging me, and like it's just made me have really bad anxiety while I'm at the gym, because I think people are looking at me and judging, and like I don't feel very like safe because I feel like I'm being watched at all times. Which, one, it's, you know, when you're in a logical mindset, you can literally be like, everyone is so focused on themselves. Like, yes, when you're at the gym, you're kind of maybe looking at other people, you maybe have a thought, but it's like not very deep at all. Most people are just too focused on their own thing. They also could be looking at you in admiration. Like, I remember when I was talking to my therapist about this, she was like, why do you assume that people look at you and think the worst? Like, what if they're looking at you and thinking, oh, she's got nice leggings on, or like, you know, her hair's nice. Like, that is a reflection of how you view yourself, because you think that other people are looking at you and thinking like, because that's how you view yourself. So I've been kind of just really like focused, like, and I've always been like this, that I'm very, very aware of the people around me because I'm very anxious about what they're thinking of me. And it does seem like, it seems so narcissistic and like self-centered, because it is literally like no one cares about you. But that's what anxiety does to you. Like, it almost like magnifies everything and makes it seem like it's all like, almost like you're in the Truman Show. Like, everything is about me, everything I do is heightened, everyone's watching me. Like, that is how I feel in a lot of social situations. And I would say that my social anxiety is stemmed in for situations with strangers rather than people that I know. Something I really, really, really struggle with, and have done for so long, is eye contact, which was literally in one of those symptoms on Google. I find it so hard to make eye contact or even smile at people, and that is like a really big thing that I've been trying to work on, because I just like it. So for example, when I go to the gym every day, I see the PTs most days, so they kind of know my face. Like, there's a couple other people that obviously go regularly, I know their faces. Most people would just like look up maybe when they walked in, go like, hi, smile, give a smile, you know, get on with your workout. That to me is so unbelievably terrifying. Like, I just can't do that. And then there's that, then it creates a misconception about me, or so I think, that it's like I could appear very rude to people because I like avoid eye contact and I don't smile at people and I don't wave at people, but I'm actually just incredibly anxious. And sometimes it does get to me because I think like, oh my god, people must think I'm horrible, they must think I'm just like an absolute like hates everyone. But then it's like, no, like I know myself, and I always say this, you knowing your own truth is so important. And in those kind of situations, I know my own truth, and I know that it's not that I'm rude and don't want to talk to people, or like, I just get extremely anxious, and that's why I'm not engaging with these people. And you have to just think like, what other people think of you is none of your business. But I want to be able to talk to people, and I want to be able to hold eye contact, because I just can't, like, if I'm talking to someone really briefly, I struggle to make eye contact. And say I did walk past like a PT that I see often and I smiled at them, I wouldn't be able to like look at them long enough to know if they smiled back, because that makes me so anxious. Literally, you couldn't explain it, because it is so irrational, which is literally what anxiety is. Like, it's, I don't know what I'm scared. It's definitely like a big part of my social anxiety is like awkwardness. Like, I don't know, if I kept looking and they didn't smile back and then I was just staring at them, I don't know. And to other people that might seem so tiny, but like you know, like that, I just can't do it. I cannot, like, you know, if I go into a coffee shop and I order a coffee, look, like maintaining eye contact with the barista is really difficult for me. And yeah, so like and that it also makes me think that like you just don't know what other people are going through, you know. It's the tale as old as time. But like, because I've seen other people before and thought like, gosh, like they look really angry, they like look like they don't want to talk to anyone. They also might be really, really anxious. Like, don't judge a book by its cover, because you just don't know. You just don't know what's going on. Because I must look like that going around the gym, but actually I'm just like, that's how it manifests for me at the minute. Like, it's so funny because I've come such a long way with my social anxiety, and it's almost such a gradual change that you don't even notice it, and then suddenly you're like, oh, I never would have done that like a year ago. As with most healing, it's just very gradual and you just suddenly like realize. But then in the same breath, it's like, okay, I've made such huge changes in some areas of my social anxiety, but then I still can't make eye contact. And that's fine, like that's okay. Like, you can't, you know, healing is a journey, and you know, some progress is better than no progress. For instance, so like when I was younger, I had horrific social anxiety talking to boys. And not like talking to boys, like literally talking to a male, like, you know, my classmates. Like, it wasn't like talking to boys who like might be my boyfriend. Like, it was just any kind of male I really struggled with. And I don't really, it was something deep rooted in me that I still am working through, is that a lot of my validation is placed in males. So when I was talking to males, my social anxiety was even worse, because I'd literally be like needing to control what they were thinking about me, not knowing what they were thinking about me, too scared to talk to them and say anything in case I said something wrong, like, and then I would like ruminate over it, what I said, because I like needed them to like me. So I literally remember, like, I just couldn't do it, and I had like no like male friends until I was like 15, and then like our classes got like mixed up in school, and I ended up in an English class with all of the like popular boys, and I was literally like, right, well, this is exposure therapy to the max, because I got like sat next to one of them as well. And then it's that literal thing that it just starts happening really gradually, and now it's like, oh my god, I can't believe, like, I can't imagine not being able to just like talk to a boy. But like, because you know, especially like some of my literal best friends are boys, but when I was younger that would have been like, no, like, we can't talk to them, we can't even, like, they are terrifying. So stuff like that, or stuff like, even in like 2020 I really struggled to go through drive-thrus, and like then it's like so illogical if I was saying that to someone, like, you know, yeah, I can go to the gym, but like the drive-through, no, can't do that, because it was the social like, it was, I don't know. And you know, I say this time and time again, but like, the only way you will get over fear or anxiety of something is to expose yourself to it. As maybe not what you want to hear, but it is the only way. Like, even that, you can see that in elements of CBT as well. Therapy I had when I was younger for a lot of my OCD, the way that I got over a lot of my compulsions and obsessive thoughts was through exposure, and through like forcing yourself to do the things that scare you, because growth does not happen inside your comfort zone. So unfortunately, it's horrible, like, it's not nice, and it's like, it's so much easier said than done. Like, I'm preaching about it now, but I've been there / I'm doing it now for like other areas. But like, yeah, I remember me and my sister used to go to the drive-thru. Like, in COVID we used to go quite a lot, because obviously like that was kind of the only way you could get like a coffee, and I would always make her even if I was driving, I would make her order for both of us, because I just I just would get so anxious about what to say if it was awkward, like. And like, my sister being my sister, who is such like tough love on me, she was like, no, you're doing it. And every time we went, she would make me do it. And then it's like she left, like moved away, and I was like, well, I have to do it because I'm going to be the only one in the car. And you just do it over and over again. And then I remember like last Christmas before, we went through the drive-through. Obviously, I don't even think anything of it now because it's so normal to me. And I like had a bit of an interaction, like when we got like to the window and I was kind of like, oh, like have a good day, like, and drove off. And my sister was like, oh my God, like you never would have said that. You wouldn't have even talked to them like a year ago. And I was like, oh yeah, like, I forgot that was such a huge thing for me because it just happened so gradually that, you know, now I'm having a conversation with like the barista at the window. And like that is honestly how I like push through my social anxiety is exposure therapy. Like, I've talked about this before, really anxious making phone calls. The only way you get through that is to keep making phone calls. And it's horrible, but like you just have to do it. But I would say as well, how I cope with it is I'm very aware that during harder times, during periods when I'm stressed, when I'm low, when I'm just overly anxious, I know that when I'm just not in a good mental space, I know that everything kind of slips, like my social anxiety gets worse, everything gets worse. And I'm very aware that you've got to know when to pick your battles. So yes, exposure therapy, but you've also got to know when you are in the right headspace to do that, to push through the anxiety, because sometimes you just can, and that's fine. Like, sometimes I might say to myself, oh, like today I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna say hi to someone at the gym. I'm gonna say hi to them. And maybe I just have a bad day. Maybe I'm feeling rubbish. Maybe I just feel physically anxious that day. You know when to push yourself and when to not, because not all battles need to be fought, and that's okay, because healing is not linear, and it's like okay to have like stagnant progress at times and like to not always be going like this. Because I just know like some days I'm like this is going to be too hard for me, so I'm not going to do it, and that's okay. And then not beating yourself up about it, and because it's like knowing when to look after yourself, and sometimes it would be pushing it too far, and like that's just okay to admit that. And I think like specifically at the minute I'm definitely in that period where like things are very hard for multiple reasons, so I'm really just looking after myself and recognizing that maybe this isn't the time to really like, let's home in on this and let's like try and make eye contact with every person I meet, because it's just not realistic, because it would end up with failure. You know, it's all about, like my therapist says, is setting realistic goals that aren't going to set yourself up to fail. I feel like I'm like a motivational coach right now, but I'm just trying to like share some notes on how I cope with it. And like leaning on others, like if something is too hard, that's okay. So like as well, I find going to the supermarket really difficult. I find it very just overstimulating and stressful. I find the checkouts is what I find the most stressful. I get really, really anxious about people judging me, thinking I'm being too slow. Like it's a very just like not an exciting thing for me to do. And at the minute, I know that I'm like rising every day, I'm feeling pretty low. I know that would be too much. So I'm more meaning like when I do big supermarket shops. So I'm just doing like little shops at the minute and doing manageable things that doesn't seem too big, because I think it would push me over the edge if I tried to do like a big supermarket shop now. And yeah, like some days I find it too hard to like interact with the outside world, because the thoughts that come along with interacting with the outside world are really, really difficult to combat. And it's, you know, you've got to feel strong enough, you've got to feel good enough to be able to fight those, because we can't fight them all the time. And I just think it's so funny because in some areas I'm now so confident, like if, like, I was in a tutorial the other day and I asked a question that may seem tiny, but I never would have, like, I never ever would have like voluntarily like said something in a class, in a lecture, in a tutorial, and I didn't even think twice. I literally was with my friend and I was like, oh, I don't really understand, I'm just gonna ask her, and just like, that was that. And I've built my confidence up in so many other areas that, like I said, it happens so gradually that like you don't even realize it. This camera is about to cut off. Okay, we're back. But I often think that there's a lot of situations where I'm like, oh, I never would have done this a while ago. Like the other day I like wanted to go and ask my like tutor a question, like one-on-one, like I had to like go to his office. Never would have done that. Like, you just, you know, maybe part of it is just that I'm growing up and I'm getting older and things just become easier with age, but there's a lot now that I almost, because you forget how bad it was and you forget the feelings of anxiety, it's hard to almost access like, oh, this used to be difficult for me. So you do forget until you're kind of like reminded, and then you also focus on the areas where you have like so much left to do, and that's fine, like it's okay, but it's like, it's so important to like stop and like recognize your progress. And like, I think I'm also very lucky that my close friends know what certain things like make me anxious, and they will encourage me, and they'll be very encouraging of me trying to push through that. Like I remember I was at the pub with my friend for his birthday, and I think I said to him, I was like, oh, can you go up and get me a drink? And he was like, no, like I'll come up with you, but like you can do it yourself. So like stuff like that, that's just like gentle encouragement from friends, that like things that other people may not think twice about, but like it's okay if you find these things difficult. Like I literally struggle to order a drink at a bar, like I do, and I still do, and I struggle walking into places when I don't know where people are. I struggle if I don't know where the toilets are. One time I literally had to get my friend to walk me to the toilets, and I'm like, if sometimes you have to do that, that's fine. Like it's okay. It's okay to like use your crutches, like your friends, like all this. But I just like, I don't know, I just think it's important to like, you never know what's going on with someone internally, so how they present themselves is not necessarily always in alignment with how they feel on the inside. And it's just like, you know, you just don't know what's going on in someone's life, and you may look, you know, people could look at me and think, she's so confident, she's so bubbly, like whatever, but like that's definitely not the case all the sometimes it is, but it's not all the time. And like that whole like perfection is not, it's not real, because everyone has stuff that they worry about, everyone has flaws, like it's just not a real construct. And like I just think it's so important to like I still struggle with social anxiety a lot, and I definitely go through phases where it's like worse than others, and I do kind of feel like I'm in a phase like that right now. But I think I just trust that it will pass, and it's reminding yourself and repeating to yourself, everyone is too busy thinking about themselves. Like they are not, no one is focusing, no one will ever think about you as much as you do. You've just got to keep telling yourself that. And when it gets bad, you just say, but the people that do care about me won't care and won't be judging me for this. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if I'm stressed at like a self-scanner and I'm like, oh my god, people are thinking I'm stupid, it's like, but the people that I actually have in my life and want in my life won't think I'm stupid. So even if someone is, but we don't know that, like that's fine, they're not in my life, like that's not my problem. And I say to myself over and over again, sometimes I don't believe it, but you've just got like, what other people think of you is none of your business, and it's not your problem. And it's like, you just have to keep telling yourself that like, no one cares, no one cares, no one cares. Yeah, well, you are in the driver's seat of your life. Like, you're the driver of your own life. Don't let other people become the drivers. Like, even if it's like a passing stranger that you're worried about, they're judging your outfit. Like, no, this is about you. So yeah, really waffled on. I thought that was kind of going to be a short video. I also don't really know what the takeaways are. But I just wanted to talk about like my experiences with social anxiety. There's definitely probably more to say, and maybe I'll talk about it again once like my brain's kind of a bit more functioning. But those are the ways that I cope with it, is repeating affirmations to yourself and exposure therapy. Like, it is hard, and it's like a hard truth, but it like, growth does not happen inside your comfort zone, and the only way you're going to get through the fears is to face them. So that is me and social anxiety, and I still have it to a very great extent, and still worry about what other people think of me. But it's about how you can't change your first thought, but you can change your second and your third and your fourth. It's how you're combating those initial like negative thoughts and worries. And over time you will, create new patterns. Okay, that's me done. Hope you guys enjoyed and got something from this. I'm gonna go read my book, I think, and get a candle on. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for listening to the waffle, and I will see you very soon.